Imagine a few short weeks from now, sitting behind your drum kit waiting for your turn in a drum battle. The two drummers before you are good, but you sit there confidently waiting for your turn. Why are you so calm? Because you know you have a secret method that guarantees a better crowd reaction than virtually anything they could play. That's because you're going to do something the crowd hasn't seen before and shock the other drummers at the same time. This was my experience a few months ago when I first used the one-handed drum roll in a drum battle. I started my usual solo, playing some fast patterns around the drum kit, and then went into a two-handed single-stroke roll. The other drummers had already done this, so while the crowd appreciated my efforts, they weren't yet blown away. That's when I took one stick off the drum and began spinning it in the air, all the while maintaining the same drum roll with just one hand. Are you ready to learn the secret method behind the one-handed drum roll? I am going to show you an amazing technique that you can begin to develop today. This is something only a handful of drummers in the world know how to play, and that even fewer have mastered and begun implementing into musical drumming. You might be wondering, how has this secret been kept for so long? Why aren't more drummers using the one-handed drum roll? Well, I believe there is a simple explanation for this. This technique is best taught in a live or video demonstration, and far too many drummers are relying on text-based online discussion forums as a primary source of drum education. Unfortunately, many of the people trying to teach this technique in online discussion forums don't actually play the method themselves. Maybe they read about it somewhere and got frustrated when it didn't work for them. But they still pass on the same failed explanation, hoping others will have better luck. These drummers are well-meaning, but unfortunately, the system only causes for continued frustration. You may see a pattern forming here. Everyone half learns the method and then assumes they can teach it. While it is great that online communities exist to share important drum knowledge, some techniques, like this one-handed drum roll method, need to be taught with a visual demonstration. Before this video, there is no complete training solution for learning and implementing this technique properly. Of the few that have learned the method, most haven't been able to actually make use of it in a musical setting. Thus, the method has almost turned into a drum gimmick or cheap trick, instead of the valuable tool it has the potential to be. Here I hope to give you a complete look at this technique and provide you with real-world examples of how it can be used in your daily playing. By the time you have reviewed and practiced all the materials in this video, you'll be set to make full use of this advanced method. We're going to get started by breaking down the technique on a basic practice pad. I encourage you to always learn new techniques and methods by working it out on a pad or a single snare drum first, and then implementing it on the entire drum kit. This way, you have fewer distractions and can focus on the specific technique you are developing. Let's get started by setting up the practice pad in the proper position for this technique. Although you may find it works at another height or angle, I would recommend you set it up like this first when learning, and later adapt it back to your preferred setup. The pad should angle slightly toward you about the same height as your bell. You want to have your drum thrones set up so you can comfortably sit up straight with your legs slightly downward. We'll start learning the technique with your dominant hand. While it is important to eventually develop it with both hands, it is best to work it out with your stronger hand first. This is usually the hand that you use to play the hi-hats or the ride cymbal. My right hand is the most dominant for me. To get started, we need to find the fulcrum point of your drumstick. You can do this by holding the stick in a relaxed grip as you would while playing the drums, then test the grip in various places to find out where you get the most bounce. You should be able to get up to 6 bounces for one stroke. Once you have found the fulcrum point, hold the stick at that point using the thumb, index, and middle finger. This is the grip that I personally use when playing this technique. You may find another grip that works just as well, so feel free to try whatever you're most used to. That said, this grip has worked well for me and is a proven method, so it's something you can fall back on if another doesn't work for you. To get started, simply lay one stick across the drum pad, holding it in place with your weaker hand. Then take your stronger hand, holding the stick just as we discussed, and begin playing eighth notes on top of the other drumstick, using it to simulate the rim of a real drum. Hit the other stick with the middle of the stick you're holding, not the tip. The motion should take place in your arm, using your elbow to move the stick up and down, much like you would when shaking someone's hand. You'll notice the stick rocks back and forth in the air as it makes contact with the stick. You don't want to play on the actual surface of the practice pad yet. We're just working through the motions at this time. As you can see, the stick is rocking back around 1 inch above and below the simulated rim as it moves. Your grip is also about 1 to 1.5 inches away from the rim to get proper pivotal balance as you perform this technique. Note that the sticks aren't staying together. You actually lift and drop the sticks as you do this motion. It is important that you get used to this while remaining completely relaxed. You are training your muscles right now, so you want to make sure that they learn to play this while remaining loose. Remember to sit up straight and focus on continuous, smooth motion. Balance is a huge aspect of this method. Eventually, you'll be able to perform this technique under any circumstance. But for beginners, always sit up straight and don't twist your body or bounce up and down. I recommend that you play this using a metronome to keep these eighth notes in time as you play them. Next, we will adjust the motion so the stick begins to play on the surface of the drum. Here you'll notice that the rim actually allows for 2 strokes of the pad in one motion. The first matches the sticks hitting together, and the second is as you bring your hand back up. You will also notice that the pad is significantly quieter than the sticks clicking together. This is only the case when on the practice pad, as the sound of your snare or toms will completely cover up the sound of the rim when you take this to the kit. Believe it or not, this actually benefits you while practicing, as you can listen to make sure that your sticks continue to click on the eighth notes along with the metronome. If the sticks are hitting in perfect time and the bounces are continuous and even, you are likely playing this technique correctly. In most cases, when learning something on the drums, it is best to progress from slow to faster speeds. That may work best for you when learning this method too, but I believe everyone learns it differently. When I first started learning this technique, I found it was easier to get a smooth, consistent roll if I played it a little faster. Eventually I had to work it out slower too, for added control, but at least I was able to get things started, and that's the most important part. Find out what works best for you and focus on the consistency of the rim clicks on the eighth notes and the even strokes of the stick. Lastly, remember to work this out evenly with both hands. You don't want to leave one behind, or it will be all the more difficult for it to catch up later. There are definitely advantages to learning with both hands, as I will soon demonstrate on the kit. Once you have mastered the basic concept, you will want to begin implementing it into new and interesting ways. Sure, it's fun to play a simple continuous roll, but I feel the true value begins to come out when you begin to use it in other ways. For example, you can play 16th notes, 16th note triplets, or even 32nd notes. Let's get started by reviewing the sheet music provided with this video. Let's start with the warm-up page and warm-up 1, which consists of 16th notes. think you'll find playing at slower tempos with this method can be more challenging than playing it up to full speed. However, it is important to play at a wide range of tempos to develop control. Next, warm-up 2 consists of 16th note triplets. And finally, 30-second notes for warm-up 3. Warm-up 4 is the first to combine two of the earlier patterns. Here you will see it starts out with a bar of 16th notes and then moves right into a bar of 16th note triplets. Try looping this pattern to develop the ability to move from one group into the next. Warm-up 5 is slightly more difficult as you are starting out with 16th note triplets and moving to 30-second notes. So I think you're starting to get the idea here. I thought of putting up a sixth warm-up that ties 16th notes directly into 30-second notes. But from here on, I want you to begin to get creative with it. Start with 16th notes and start jumping in and out of 16th note triplets or 30-second notes, or both. Just have fun with it, and you'll begin to develop speed, timing, and control all at the same time. Remember to work this out with both hands. When I was first learning, I made the mistake of focusing on my right hand primarily. Later, when I decided to learn it with my left, it was much harder to stay focused and motivated. If you let one get too far ahead, you will likely have the same difficulty mustering up the motivation to work on your weaker hand. Okay, now it's time to take what you've learned in the practice pad and apply it to the snare drum. It's going to take a little practice to get used to the actual rim of the snare instead of your other stick. We'll use the warm-up page to work things out with the metronome. Let's start out with warm-up number 1 with basic 16th notes. Next, warm-up 2 takes us through 16th note triplets. may start to notice now that the rim is significantly less audible. The snare really does a great job of covering it up. Listen again as we go through warm-up 3 with 30-second notes. After this, you can go through the combinations in warm-ups 4 and 5 and begin creating your own unique combinations after that. Make sure you don't rush into this too fast. It may take some time to transition to the snare drum. Always remember to focus on consistency before speed. It actually sounds faster when played smoothly anyways. Let's move on to the exercise page now. This will begin to help you to develop the ability to alternate hands and transition between different note values. Exercise 1 starts with basic alternating in groups of 4 16th notes. Number 2 has alternating groups of 6 with 16th note triplets. Exercise 3 is similar. We will be playing alternating groups of 8s using 30-second notes. Exercise 4 is alternating 16th notes to alternating 16th note triplets to alternating 30-second notes. Exercise 5 is a single stroke roll into a one-handed roll. You start the exercise right-hand lead, and the second half is left-hand lead into a left-handed one-handed roll. Exercise 6 is similar, except we're going to be using a double stroke roll instead of a single stroke roll. Practice all of these with accuracy and repetition. How you train your muscles now will affect your playing for the rest of your life. Developing this technique and the associated skills right the first time can save you a lot of time down the road. Okay, now it's time to take what you've learned and apply it on the full drum kit. This is where things start to get real interesting, as the variations are truly endless. I'm going to show you a few ideas and concepts, but I don't want you to feel limited by these ideas in any way. Once you have learned some of these beats, begin to develop your own. Be as creative as you can be. I'm sure you'll come up with some interesting ideas. We're going to start out with the basics and slowly create beats that use all four limbs simultaneously. Let's open up the patterns page provided with this video. Pattern 1 is designed to build basic coordination around the kit. That can be played as any snare-tom combination you wish, just as long as they're played as a synchronized pattern. Pattern 2 is similar to an exercise we went through on the snare earlier, but it transitions between the snare and a tom. It's played as 16th notes and goes like this. Again, you can move this around in different combinations. Be creative with it. Pattern 3 applies the same concept with 16th note triplets. Sounds something like this. Pattern 4 is the first that starts to look like a real beat. My right hand's going to be on the hi-hat and my left hand on the snare. They're going to be hitting at the same time. My right hand hi-hat and my left hand is going to be hitting the rim of the snare at the exact same time, but I'll be getting 2 strokes for every 1 hit on the rim of the snare. Sounds something like this. Alright, don't rush through this section. It's important that you spend time truly developing the skills as outlined, and not just rushing through to the next step. Be sure you can play all these patterns in a variety of ways and at a variety of speeds before moving on. This section is for those of you that have mastered the one-handed roll. Not only the technique, but the ability to transition in and out of it, and to play various combinations with speed and control. Let's start with the one-hand roll beats page. I'm going to play through these fairly quickly, but just follow along with the sheet music and re-watch any beats that you need clarification on. Thank you for watching our one-handed roll video. I hope you learned a great deal as you work through the various warm-ups, exercises, patterns, and beats. I encourage you to visit our website to browse our growing collection of drum-related instructional products. Thank you.